All right, welcome everybody. Here we are, still in Cabo San Lucas, Mexico. MMSD landed here yesterday. Mike, Sierra Delta. We're going to do a full flight video late this afternoon. It's 4:12 PST, 5:12 MST, 5:12 down here in Cabo. A very short flight over to Mazatlan, just 190 miles. Going to be quick. So let's get on board and get started. We're doing a VOR-DME approach into runway 8 today. Runway 8, winds are out of the east in Mazatlan. But as you can see, the sun set, and I'd like to get on the ground before the sun sets in Mazatlan. And we're going to be flying at 25,000 feet today on this very short flight. So let's get our beautiful November 343 Bravo Whiskey that's been all over the place in the last month or so. South Pacific, East Asia, all the way east to Albany and so forth. But let's get over to Mazatlan. What do you say? Let's go. Let's get on up on the flight deck. Let's get started with our startup procedures. We'll fix the camera first and foremost, as we always do. And this episode, as usual, we will be blessedly without the ATC.
Pause system test. Okay.
Get our generators on, batteries on, APU generator on, APU started. That'll come up pretty fast. Let's go through our procedures here. Nav source FMS, bearing 1 GPS, speed bugs 195 on the VY. All on. PFD settings, wind option 2. All right. I looked it up. What are the minimums? Minimums on VOR runway 8 are 860. MDA is 860. So, approach course is 084. Runway length 8,000. What did I say? 8,200 feet, as I recall. So we'll enter those. We'll enter the VOR frequency as well, 114.9. 114.9, and we'll set bearing 2 at nav 1. Okay, and sure we get all the rest of this information that we need. All right, this looks okay. Yeah, final approach course 084. All right. Let's start our right engine. Now that the APU's up, it is, right? Yes. Okay, right engine. Okay, right engine's going. They're pushing us back. Hear that right engine spooling up. We'll do 1 notch of flaps. Get our recognition lights on. I'm not trying to rush. That's always a bad idea in aviation. Let's sync our altimeter to 9er decibel 9er. See where they want us. Well, I don't really care. I'm just going to climb up to 25,000 feet. We don't need to do it in steps anymore. I want to have a functioning ATC. It makes it more realistic. I realize that, but when they force me to deal with situations and scenarios that would never present themselves in real life, I deem it acceptable to deviate from that. Okay, VS set to 3,500. We'll get our pitot heat on. Nice day. Nice day down here in Cabo. Right engine is already good to go. Do our left engine now. Left engine is coming up. Weather in Cabo is 73 degrees, still mostly sunny. Winds out of the south, west-southwest at 6 miles an hour. We're taking off towards the south on runway 12. So that's good to know. All right, and then Mazatlan, the weather is 72 degrees. It's so close, I wouldn't expect the weather to be dramatically different. Okay, we'll just confirm our remaining issues here. Set our speed mode at 195. I already did that on the speed bug controls. Altimeter's been addressed. Anti-collision light power. Let's turn on taxi lights. And it looks like left engine is now also good to go. So we'll go ahead and kill the APU and the APU gen. All right, bring our control column back. And bring our lights up here in the cockpit. Okay. Final confirmation on everything. Altimeter, anti-collision lights, power is idle. Parking brakes released now that we're about to start taxiing. APU's off. Flight directors. And altitude selector VS is set. Nav heading. We'll do that when we get on the runway. Speed. Auto throttle is addressed. Nav source set to FMS. Bearing 1 set to GPS. Bearing 2 set to Nav 1. Wind set to option 2. Parking brake is released. Pitot heat's on. Flaps 1. It's addressed. I've noticed this happening, and heads up guys, because I don't recall ever deploying my speed brake, but take a look. It's almost like it starts by default with the speed brakes on, and that is not the situation you want, where you accidentally take off with speed brakes deployed. Needless to say, that could be a problem. All right, then we'll we'll get our timer ready to go here, but we won't start it. Okay, let's go. That was pretty straightforward. Nice seat here, good to go. All right, let's go. Love the shadow of the plane. Taxi off to the right there. Take off to the south. This is interesting. I'm just looking at this real quick. Doesn't this appear... Why are they... No. Well, I don't know. I can't tell. Let's find out together. My impression is that we should be departing towards the south. But why do they have our destination way down here? No, they got this screwed up. They got this screwed up. Yet again, ATC never fails. Yeah, we're going to ignore the arrows. We should not be departing to the north. They want us to depart to the north. We should depart to the south. Okay, I don't know what's going on. Look at our prevailing winds. Can you see here? They're behind us. 10 knots. We should be departing to the south, not the north. Oh, this is going to be interesting. See what I mean? Look, here's the runway layout. We need to depart this way, towards the south. I checked the live radar. Planes are landing from the north towards the south. Well, I don't know what to tell you. Taxi lights on. Oh, they're already on. Okay, good. Yeah, I mean... Here's another good example of why I've abandoned ATC. They're going to flip out when we don't take off from where they told us to take off. But I don't give a damn. I'm not going to take off with a 10-knot tailwind. I'm just not going to do it. Boy, you'd think they'd have some of these bugs worked out by now, don't you? They're going to lose lose their mind when I just take off towards the south. Oh, thank God I'm not having to deal with all of ATC nonsense. Okay. May have hit some lights. This is what happens when you don't have any guidance. All right.
Approaching runway 16.
Yes, that's the direction we should be taking off.
Entered runway 16. 9,900 feet remaining.
Pulse lights on, taxi lights off, landing lights are on, tail flood, and make ourselves like a Christmas tree. Okay. Let's get this flight done. Don't know what's going to happen. Sun's setting fast, though. I don't think there's any way to request a different runway for departure, like there is to request a different runway for landing, unfortunately. Confirm that. I'm sure of it. Request takeoff clearance. IFR from... What? I'm just curious what happens if I... Clear for takeoff. Runway 34. Okay, well I'm taking off on runway 16. As I should be. You see the sock? This Delta guy's just got a go-around order because he was about to land on the wrong runway with a tailwind. He should thank me. There's somebody else over here. Looks like he's about... He wants to take off as well, correctly, in the same direction. All right, anyway, let's get this over with. Come on. What do you say, friends? Let's go. Start our timer. Don't want to forget that. Okay, let's go. See, we're taking off into the wind. That's how it works. Airspeed's alive, 80 knots. 120. 140, 150, and rotate. Positive rate, gear up. Autopilot's engaged. Auto throttle's engaged. Alright, I'll take that. I'll take that. Flaps retracted. Zoom out on the MFD. Activate nav. Make that left turn. Beautiful. Nice sunset. On our way to Mazatlan. Gonna be there before we know it. Engage the FLC. Set to 240. Damn it. Landing lights off. Looks good. Yeah, I can't explain the issue about telling us to take off to the north when you've got a 10-knot prevailing wind from the south. That just doesn't make any sense. Gonna pass through 10,000 here in a second. Excuse me. We're at 9,400, climbing like a rocket right now. Okay, now we're over climbing out of 10,000, so we'll increase our FLC speed selector. Set it at 320. Confirm gear up, flaps retracted. It's really, I mean, we're super light. There's only 2 people on the plane, and we're all 30% on our fuel capacity, 617 gallons. So we're light as a feather right now, which partially explains why we're climbing like the goddamn space shuttle. So here's the very southern tip. Go outside. Southern tip of Baja California. Beautiful sunset. Wow. We're going to cross the Gulf of California. And be in Mazatlan before you know it. We're flying our track, as you can see. I'll fix the camera apparently. Alright, it looks good. $18,000 feet almost, transition altitude. Comes. All right. Transition altitude down here apparently is 18.5. Anyway, we'll sync our altimeter to 29902. Pressing. There we go. Man, does this thing climb fast. I mean, our cruising altitude, 25,000 feet in, only took off 5 minutes, 12 seconds ago. Incredible. Now keep in mind, we're flying at 25,000 feet, which means we would begin our descent at 83 miles out. If we had reliable ATC, that's what I would expect them to do, which is to tell us to initiate our descent at 83 miles out. Just curiosity if they're talking to us. Yeah, they're telling us to climb and maintain 250 Cessna 3 Bravo Whiskey. But I have no idea if it would work. And listen, I mean, could you say, well, listen, you don't know that it won't work, so why not keep ATC alive? Well, because when you're in some flight and it screws it off, let's activate our bank limiter. And you know, you're expecting to have a nice normal flight, and then it gets all goofy. And then you have to deal with ATC chatter the whole time. We can get away with a little more speed. It's at 335. Just keeping an eye on that speed right there. Going up into the red, but not the barber tape, which is right there. But I'm eager to get to Mazatlan, safely, of course. There we are now, you see, flying over the Gulf of California. There's the eastern portion of the Baja Peninsula. Out the right side of the aircraft, of course, is just basically the Pacific all the way to Antarctica. But we're hauling ass to 485 knot ground speed. Looks like we're still dealing with the oscillation roll, so what I'll do to correct for that is engage the heading bug, or the heading control, instead of using nav. As you can see here, this is one of my straightest flights ever. I mean, look at this. It's basically just due east. East-northeast. Straight to MMMZ. You see? So, Since it's a full flight video, we'll go ahead and stick with the using the heading control, just to avoid that annoying oscillation roll that I really hope they fix in a patch soon. I think we can get away with even a little more speed. Hey, if we get an overspeed warning, then we'll know. Yeah, the weather's nice though. Actually, it couldn't be nicer. $25,000 feet. That's why our knots indicated is so high. If we were at 45,000 feet, you'd expect it to be about 240. Although the true airspeed is unchanged. Ground speed right now, 500 knots. Got a nice 25 knot tailwind, you can see right there. Next waypoint is Islas, 121.9 nautical miles away. Already receiving, unbelievably, VOR data from Mazatlan, 140.7 nautical miles away. Wow, this is what happens when there's nothing between you and your destination but ocean. 147-mile range on the VOR, that's fantastic. Remember, 83 miles out is when I would expect us to be instructed to descend. Whether we'll actually be instructed to descend is anybody's guess, unfortunately. And you see here we're deviating slightly off our track, and that's because I'm using heading to control our direction as opposed to letting the autopilot do it. So I'm actually inputting the directional heading by hand. All right. Showing just about, I'd say 22 minutes. That's going to be a quick flight for this bird.
Destination ATIS is 127.7.
Already getting ATIS information from Betty. We are heading east, away from the setting sun, so it's going to be dark, or darker anyway. But I think we'll be all right in terms of having some light before we land. .084 is the approach course. We'll make sure we don't forget that. Missed approach requires climb outbound on MZT VOR on the 084 radial and a right turn within 10 miles to the MZT VOR, the minimum holding altitude. Just looking at the plates right now. Again, I don't have plates for my ForeFlight app, but you can find all this stuff online. Just checking one other thing. What is the airport? There is no final approach fix on the VOR-DME approach. Airport elevation is 38. Okay, good to know. 118 miles. Slightly off track again, so we'll make a right turn just to get back on it. You see what I mean? You know, I could just leave nav engaged, but then it's this annoying left-right roll. It just drives me crazy. Although, arguably, I'm still engaging in that left-right roll, albeit more slowly. Huh. The constellations, this won't show up, I presume, on the video, but constellations are accurately depicted. And I'm seeing Orion's belt right there in the eastern sky. That's pretty cool. We'll go ahead and set our heading bug when we get closer. If we remember, we're not going to be doing an ILS approach. We're not. This is basically a very non-precision approach. We're going to be doing it largely by hand. I don't really have a lot of experience with VOR-DME approaches. The only other one I can think of that I've done is in Santa Barbara. So I wouldn't do one in anything but good weather. By the same token, you know, you've got your map, you've got your course. This is not a complicated approach. And it's literally straight in to a sea level runway. Activate our isoline map just so you can kind of see even the terrain around Mazatlan is flat as a pancake. I mean, you don't get anything interesting until you go east of the airport a considerable distance. By interesting, I mean dangerous. "98 miles. Remember, we'll expect to initiate our descent at 83 miles. Still no word from ATC. Not that I would listen, I'm just kind of curious. Still correcting slightly, and still have that 25 knot tailwind. Showing 95 miles from the airport. How do I know that? Right there. Remember, I set bearing 2 to nav 1. Nav 1 is the VOR frequency for the airport, 114.9. That shows up here on the PFD, right there. MZT, Mike Zulu Tango, 91 NM, nautical miles. Not only is it also telling us the distance to that frequency that we've entered in, it's also got that cyan arrow. This magenta arrow is superimposed on top of it, but there's a cyan arrow that points the direction of the VOR transmitter that we're tuned to, if that makes sense. Okay. 86, 85 miles. I expect to get our descent instructions any second, but if I don't, I'm going to initiate my descent myself. "83 miles. Okay, we get anything from ATC? Descend and maintain 50,000. What do you know? God bless them. Now, if I could depend on it to always behave like that, I'd do it, but I can't. We'll set our altitude selector at 500 feet, and let's get started with this descent for this very short flight. It's a quickie. Love quickies. You sit in some of these flights you set up and you're, you know, it's 4, 5, 6 hours, some of them. That was one thing I noticed about flying around the South Pacific. Every place is far. Hours and hours and hours away. It's kind of nice to have a little half-hour flight here. All right, we'll re-engage nav. It's getting dark fast. Beautiful. Look at that sunset. I'm going to go outside in a second. Let's begin slowing. Set it 325. Ignore that. Let's go outside. What do you say? Let's look at that sunset. We have to... I can't look around out the window. Oh, my goodness. Look at that. Screenshot. Oh my goodness, that's so beautiful. Keep slowing. Set 315. About 13 minutes out. 65 miles. At 60 miles, we want to be at 18,000 feet. So we're going to increase our descent rate and slow down even more. Remember, there's not a lot of room for error when it comes to this approach. There's no turns, there's no way to extend our downwind. We just have to get down. Descending at 2,400 feet per minute. It's at 285. 60 miles out. 20,000 feet. Still within spitting distance of where we should be. 9-knot tailwind, nothing too dramatic. Love the colors. Ah, beautiful day, beautiful evening. Keep slowing. 270.
Landing gear.
Speed brakes, not needed. Very quick flight. "50 miles out. Feels like we're dealing with some issues here in terms of descent, so I'm going to slow us down to 250.
Landing gear. Landing gear.
Use those
Landing
speed brakes.
gear.
Wait for this to
Landing
come
gear.
up. There we go. "2,800 feet per minute. That is what we call a speedy descent, my friends. But we got to get down to a reasonable altitude. But we're good. We're at 16,400 feet. We're 51 miles out, so it's fine. It's going to be a visual approach. I mean, at the end of the day, it's going to be a visual approach. We're below transition altitude, so let's sync our altimeter. 29904. Good. See if we have any useful information coming from ATC. Descend and maintain 7,000. Okay. Looks good. 47 miles out, 14,600 feet. We can finally start to shallow out our descent rate a little bit. Sorry. We're descending kind of steeply for anybody's negative G phobias. On the upside, we did not enter that negative or that descent rate rapidly. We gently increased our descent rate. I'd like to get on the ground. Here's the coast. I don't know if you can make it out, but here's the coast. So we have the city in sight. 13,000. 44 miles out. Actually 12,800. Now we can start shallowing out even more. It's at 1,500 feet per minute. We'll be at 12,000 feet at 40 miles out. Right here you see we're 41.9 miles out, 12,300 feet. So we're looking good. There's the city. There's the city proper. The airport is just beyond, to the east-southeast of the city. Let's keep slowing gently. It's at 245. Outside temperature 7 degrees Celsius. Got a 15-mile range on the MFD. Go ahead and set that at 10. "38 miles out, 11,100 feet. Set 1,200 foot per minute descent rate. Getting dark fast. It's interesting how when you travel from west to east on a sunset, the onset of darkness really happens quickly. And vice versa, if you're heading towards the setting sun, you really effectively delay that. "35 miles out, 10,300 feet. Set our descent rate at 1,500 feet per minute. Continue slowing. Still putting us in about, I don't know, 12 minutes now, based on what I'm looking at. 4-knot tailwind. Tailwind's diminished, not insignificantly. 32 miles, 9,600 feet. 235. Remember, you can slow down very quickly in this plane, particularly once you start to configure yourself for landing. You know, gear and flaps and so forth. Looking good though right now. 30 miles on the button, 8,800 feet. Set 230 on the speed. Don't know where we'll go from Mazatlan. Wasn't entirely sure I was even going to fly today, but I decided ultimately that I did want to do just a quick one. I wasn't thrilled about seeing that it was a VOR-DME approach, just because I don't know a ton about them. But when in doubt, fly, right? 27 miles or 8,000 feet. We'll be at 6,000 feet at 20. I think I actually see the runway. Oh my God, that's crazy. Wow. From 25 miles out. Continue slowing, 220.
Landing gear.
I don't know if you can see what I can see. Here's the city. There's the runway. We're not lined up, so keep that in your back pocket just in case that becomes an issue. 24 miles, 7,400 feet. Slow down to 210.
Landing gear. Landing gear.
Prepared to use the speed brake, but we didn't need to. 23 miles, 7,100 feet. 1,400 feet per minute. Let's check this real quick. You see this route that we're on, when we go to D2620, we'll make a slight left turn. And then another slight right turn at D Delta 264 Kilo, and that'll, in theory, line us up. Let's just see what happens. Continue slowing. 205. 21 miles out. We're at 6,200 feet. That's great. Those landing lights on. Continue slowing. Man, did it get dark fast or what? Beautiful sunset. Wow, look at the stars. Screenshot. All right, here's D2620 coming up. See that waypoint? 2.7 nautical miles from there, 42 seconds. 18 miles out, 5,100 feet. It's at 195.
Landing gear. Landing gear.
Just ignore
Landing
him.
gear.
God damn it. Come on, give me that left turn. I'm not lined up. You can tell from here I'm not lined up. 190.
Landing gear. Landing gear. Landing gear.
That speed brake, man, it gets a lot of use in my cockpit. It's at 180. Almost. Come on, give me that left turn. Turn off bank limiter. There's the left turn. 15 miles, 4,100 feet. It's at 185, one notch of flaps.
Landing gear.
I don't know. Doesn't seem... I mean, there's the runway. Does not seem like we're lined up. Whew. Thank goodness I can see everything. It's alright. We're okay. Let's go ahead and depressurize. "13 miles, 3,400 feet. Shallow out." It's weird not having any glide slope or glide path or anything to help. See, why am I turning right? There's the runway. I am seeing white and red on the poppy, so that's good. Well, get ready, friends, because we're about to hand fly this approach. Ooh, that's pretty. Alright, this is going to be interesting. Let's go ahead and continue slowing. Gear. Full flaps. Oof, man. Plane slows down fast. Alright, we're going to disengage the auto throttle. And we'll disengage the autopilot. This is going to be interesting, friends, because we're going to hand fly this. Keep an eye on that airspeed. All I have to give me information as to whether I'm too high or too low is just my distance from the airport, 7.8 miles, 2,700 feet, and the poppies. That's it. So we're doing this old school. Keeping an eye on the airspeed. Going to trim us a little bit so I'm not having to fight the stick so much. Boy, I'm trying to think if I've done a hand-flown... I don't know that I've ever done a hand-flown approach in the Longitude. 154 knots, 2,000 feet, 6.4 miles out. That's fine. I have to really pop up in the seat here. I'm seeing white now again on the poppy. Oh boy, fellas, I can't tell you what a challenge it is to hand fly this. It's fun, don't get me wrong. .3 miles out, 1,500 feet, red and white on the poppies. I'm not taking my hand off this stick though. Trim, 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 trim. There we go, that's better. White and red on the poppies. 4.3 miles out. Woo! Oh man, this is old school. Full flaps, gear down, confirmed. Oh my god, this feels like 1986, back in the old FS days. Hand flying it. Oh, 153 knots.
3 mile final, runway 08.
3 mile final. Radial altimeter showing 800 feet. Red and white on the poppies. We're doing fine so far. Okay, we switched to all red, so let's pick up a little altitude. There we go, back to red and white. Seeing the beacon, I'm seeing the beacon. Oh man, this is so much more challenging than using the autopilot to handle your approach. Can I just tell you?
500.
500.
All right. May not be the prettiest approach you've ever seen, but hand flown, baby. Hand flown. Butter. Hand flown and butter. I love it. Oh, that was great. That was great. Whew. Oh my God, is it dark? Holy cow. It looks like we're going to have to backtrack because I don't see anything in the way of taxiways. If you look here, you see what I mean? You see what I mean? There's nothing. You got bupkis. So, you see this? There's nowhere to taxi off of this runway. So, that's not a problem. It's okay. It just means we have to backtrack. Okay, so let's go ahead and turn around. Try to stay off the grass as much as possible. Mostly did. It's funny, usually they give you a little turnaround apron. Remember, no editing. Let's bring in our speed brakes, spoilers. Let's see, am I going to get any help from ATC or acknowledge ground handoff? Okay. Taxi to parking. Give me some arrows, friends. I'm not seeing any arrows. Acknowledge taxi clearance. Taxi clearance. Taxi to parking and fueling options. Taxi to parking. I think I already did that. Yeah, ATC's working wonderfully as usual. It's okay. All right. Luckily, we've got this. This is helpful, right? Between this and this, we can go anywhere. Bring those flaps in. Very interesting. Well, I got to tell you, this is an interesting experience. I've never hand flown a visual approach before, not in the Longitude anyway. That was fun. I got to tell you, all things considered, I felt it went pretty damn well. Okay, you see we got a yellow line here. Follow that. ATC doesn't want to give us any help on parking. We'll do it ourselves. See what I'm doing? I'm just following that yellow line. There we go. Strange, though, that we're not getting any help. I mean, usually you get arrows, at least. Still no help, huh? Taxi to parking. I already requested taxi to parking. Yeah, it's not working. All right, no problem. Continue to make that right turn. See what we're doing here. See where we are. I'm not going to do any glorious, glamorous approaches or parking jobs today, friends. I'm just going to follow this yellow line and park somewhere that looks suitable. How's that? I'm getting the feeling they don't see a lot of longitudes here in Mazatlan. Unless maybe if I'm running dope. Alright, this looks like a building off to the right, so let's just park there. There we go. See what I'm doing here? Try to get on that line as much as we can. There we go. There we go. Holy mackerel, this was an adventure. This was an adventure. Here we are. See? Parked. All right. Man. Okay, parking brake. Okay, that's plausible. Can't really see much, but... Alright, we're parked. Welcome to Mazatlan. Ooh, that's kind of a cool picture. Alright, enough is enough, right? Let's kill that right engine first. Kill the pitot heat. Not that we ever needed it. Oh, geez, I never turned off the landing lights. Okay. Oh, let's stop that timer. It says 40 minutes and 1 second, but it was, I don't know, maybe 35 minutes tops. Look at this goofy, look at this. See that bouncing around like that? Oh, man. Holy Christ. All right. Okay. Switch to the log screen, I presume. Yes? Yes. All right, friends. Well, total flight time, 33 minutes, 16 seconds from MMSD to MMMZ. Welcome to Mazatlan. General Rafael Buelna International. And we're safe on the ground. Apparently not a huge airport. Who knew? We're just looking at a diagram of it right now. All right, everybody. Thanks for flying with us again. We'll see where we head next, but welcome to Mazatlan. Local time, 6:04 p.m. Have a good one.